My beloved sisters and brothers in faith, there is a kind of pain that doesn't scream, it doesn't bleed, it doesn't break bones or tear flesh, but it crushes the soul silently. It is the pain of being unloved. And today I want to speak about a woman with no love, not the love of fairy tales, not the love that is written in novels or sung in songs, but the simple love every soul needs: kindness, care, respect, and appreciation. 1. The silent battles she faces alone. There are women who cry, not because they are weak, but because no one notices their strength. She gets up every morning, prepares meals, raises children, fulfills duties, smiles at her neighbors. But deep down her heart is dry. No one asks, "How are you really?" She gives and gives, yet receives so little in return. These women exist. Maybe she is your mother, your sister, your wife, or maybe she is you, yet she continues. Not because it's easy, but because she was taught to endure. 2. The strength of a loveless heart, my sister. If you are one of these women, let me tell you, your strength is not hidden from your Lord. You have built an entire life with hands that were never held. You gave comfort while your own soul craved it. You carried burdens no one saw. That's not weakness, that's power, that's taqwa when paired with patience. You see, sometimes Allah removes human love from our lives, not to punish us, but to strengthen our connection with His love. 3. When love is replaced by responsibility, many women are raised with the idea that their value lies in what they do for others. They are expected to serve, to sacrifice, to remain silent. And while service is noble, service without compassion becomes slavery. Responsibility is heavy, but when it replaces affection, when it replaces care, a woman can begin to feel like a machine, not a human. But even then, she keeps going. Why? Because she loves her Lord, she believes in reward, she knows there's Jannah beyond the tears. 4. Her worth is not defined by others' affection. Let me say this clearly. A woman's worth is not measured by how much others love her. It is measured by how much she is loved by Allah. People may ignore her, forget her, take her for granted. But Allah never does. He is Al-Latif, the most subtle, the one who notices what others miss, the one who responds to tears that never fall, the one who counts silent sighs as prayers. So don't let the absence of love from people convince you that you are not worthy. You are, always have been. There are women in this world, millions of them, who fight battles every single day that no one ever sees. She wakes up before everyone else. She prepares breakfast, organizes the home, gets the children ready. Her hands are busy, her feet are moving, but her heart is heavy. Yet no one asks her, "Are you okay?" Because they've gotten so used to her strength that they forget she has pain too. She smiles not because she is happy, but because she has learned to smile through exhaustion, through hurt, through betrayal, through nights of silent tears. She's the one who remembers everyone's birthdays but whose own birthday passes unnoticed. She listens to everyone's problems but carries her own in silence. She stands at every funeral, every wedding, every emergency, and when her own heart breaks, she finds no one beside her. She is the first to apologize even when she was wronged, the first to forgive not because it was easy, but because she believes in peace. She suppresses her emotions so others can feel better. She hides her tears so her children don't worry. She swallows her pain so her family stays whole. And what makes it even harder is that she is rarely appreciated, rarely acknowledged. Sometimes she's even blamed for things she tried her best to fix. The world calls her emotional, dramatic, or too sensitive. But no one sees what she has to swallow just to keep standing. Behind closed doors, she has cried on prayer mats, asking Allah to ease the weight on her chest, to soften the hearts of those around her, to give her strength to carry on another day, and yet the world only sees her strength. They don't see the cost of it, They don't see the nights she couldn't sleep because her heart was too loud. They don't see the times she almost broke down in public, but held it together because mothers don't cry. Wives must be patient, or strong women don't complain. But who gave these labels? Who said she isn't allowed to feel? She feels deeply. That's why she keeps forgiving. That's why she stays even when she's tired. That's why she keeps giving even when she's empty. She sacrifices parts of herself to build peace around others. But in doing so, she sometimes forgets herself. No one asks her what she needs. No one pauses to ask her what she dreams of. Her name becomes a role: mom, wife, daughter-in-law, sister, employee. Her individuality fades behind responsibilities. Her identity gets swallowed by expectation. She's judged when she's silent, misunderstood when she speaks. She's told to be patient when she's hurting and to have sabr when she's breaking, and she does have sabr every single day, not because she's weak, but because her connection with her Lord is her only source of hope. Yet, we must not ignore the reality. Many women like her are suffering silently, and silence is not the absence of pain. Sometimes silence is where pain screams the loudest. Silence is where she hides the version of herself no one has time to understand. Silence is where she prays with trembling hands, asking Allah to be enough for her, because no one else is. And somehow, she still wakes up and gives again. There is a strength that isn't loud. It doesn't lift weights or give fiery speeches. It isn't found in victory or applause. It is quiet, calm, and almost invisible. It is the strength of a woman who is surviving with a loveless heart. She moves through life not because someone inspires her or motivates her, but because she has learned that if she doesn't stand, no one else will stand for her. She pours tea for a husband who no longer speaks with tenderness. She picks up her children from school, even though none of them asked how her day was. She walks into homes where her presence is needed, but her heart is not noticed. There is no "I miss you." There is no "thank you." There is no "are you okay?" But she keeps moving. Not because she's okay, but because she's needed. And that need becomes her engine, even when her emotional tank is empty. People look at her and say she's strong. Yes, she is, but not the kind of strength that people should admire without understanding. She is strong because she has endured rejection without turning bitter. She has faced coldness without becoming cold. She has been unloved without forgetting how to love. That is a different kind of strength. Her heart was not designed to be hardened. It was meant to bloom with affection, with sincerity, with warmth. But over time, when love is not returned, when her emotional needs are ignored, when her efforts are unseen, her heart becomes something else, not hard but hollow. Yet even in that emptiness, she still gives. Why? Because her strength doesn't come from people. It doesn't come from compliments or comfort. It doesn't come from the arms that should have held her but never did. Her strength comes from somewhere deeper. From a place many have forgotten. It comes from sabr. It comes from tawakkul. It comes from the moment she raised her hands in the quiet of the night and whispered, "Ya Allah, I can't do this alone. Carry me." And He does. You see, the world doesn't understand how much it costs her to stay gentle when no one is gentle with her. How much it takes to still give when no one gives back. How heavy it feels to pray for others while wondering if anyone is praying for her. But she keeps going. She keeps praying. She keeps hoping. Because even if she is not surrounded by love, she still believes in love. Not the kind found in movies or poetry, but the kind that flows from the heavens. The love of Allah. The love that never fails, the love that never abandons. And so, while others may see her and think, she's fine, she's managing, the truth is, she is bleeding silently, but walking with dignity. She is empty inside, but still filling others. She is loveless in this world, but deeply loved by the one who created her. That kind of strength, the strength of a woman who is carrying herself with no hand to hold, no shoulder to cry on, and no heart to return to, That is the strength this world often forgets to honor, but heaven sees it, and heaven never forgets. There is a moment in some women's lives, and it often happens quietly, when love fades, but duties remain. At first, everything felt warm. There was attention, softness, and affection, a kind smile, a warm hug. The sense that she mattered not just for what she did, but for who she was. She felt seen, heard, chosen, appreciated. But over time, those feelings began to disappear, slowly, subtly, no arguments, no loud departures. Just distance, coldness, neglect dressed in routine, and suddenly she realizes she is no longer being loved. She is being obligated, she is needed but not cherished, she is expected but not appreciated, she is doing everything but receiving nothing. People come to her when they need food, clothes, help, healing, money, advice. She carries the weight of an entire household, but no one asks who carries her. The worst kind of loneliness is not being alone. It's being surrounded by people, yet feeling invisible. Because now she is not loved, she is used, not out of cruelty, but out of habit. She becomes the one who always does it. She doesn't even get a thank you anymore, just a look that says, of course you'll do it. You always do. And perhaps the most painful part is she stays. Not because she's okay with it, not because she's weak, but because she feels responsible, because she believes in loyalty, because she wants to hold things together even when she herself is falling apart. Her life becomes a cycle of sacrifice. She wakes early, sleeps late. She solves problems before they arise. She gives when she has nothing left, and no one sees the weight on her back because she carries it so well. And in many cultures, many homes, and even many religious communities, this silent burden is dressed up as virtue. She's told, this is your role, this is what a good woman does, this is what a patient wife looks like, this is how strong mothers behave. But love was never meant to be replaced with labor. Affection was never supposed to be sacrificed at the altar of obligation. Even in our deen, Allah did not ask women to be robots. He asked them to be righteous, not to be run down. He asked them to be compassionate, not to be crushed. What many people don't understand is that when a woman is only valued for what she provides, she begins to doubt if she has any value when she is simply still. What if she gets sick? What if she needs help? What if she no longer has the strength to carry everything? Will they still see her? Will they still care? Or is her worth tied only to how much she gives, how much she serves, how much she tolerates? And so she begins to live a life of performance. She wears the mask, she plays the part, she fulfills every responsibility, hoping that somehow, maybe love will return. That maybe, if she gives more, sacrifices more, pushes harder, someone will notice her again. Someone will ask her, what do you need? But the more she gives, the more people take. And in that constant taking, she begins to lose her sense of self. Not because she's unworthy, but because the people around her have stopped loving her for who she is and started depending on her for what she does. She becomes a machine, an automatic giver, a background worker in her own life, and she wonders silently, if I stop doing everything, would they still love me? And the question alone is heartbreaking. Somewhere along the way, she began to believe a lie, a quiet, dangerous lie whispered by this world, that if no one loves her, then she must not be worth loving. That if no one chooses her, she must not be enough. That if she is forgotten, she must not matter. But the truth, the divine truth, is this: a woman's worth is not determined by the hands that hold her, the lips that praise her, or the hearts that remember her. Her worth was written long before any human laid eyes on her. It was written by the one who created her in the womb, shaped her with his mercy, and chose her soul before the world could define her. The world often tells women, you are valuable when you're beautiful, you are enough when someone loves you back, you are important when someone sees you, compliments you, wants you. But all of this is temporary, fading, fragile. What happens when the beauty changes? What happens when the affection stops? What happens when the people walk away? Does her worth disappear with them? No, because her value was never tied to their validation. She is not less because she is unloved. She is not invisible because they overlooked her. She is not broken because they walked away. She is still whole, still chosen, still worthy in the eyes of Ar-Rahman, the most merciful. You see, when people love us, it's often conditional. Based on mood, based on benefit, based on what we can offer. But the love of Allah is not like theirs. He does not love her because she's perfect. He does not see her through the lens of her mistakes. He sees her trying, struggling, falling, rising again, and he loves her. She may walk into a room and be ignored by every person in it, but the angels know her name, her tears are recorded, her du'as are heard, her pain is stored in the vaults of divine mercy. And what is unseen to this world is crystal clear in the sight of her Lord. So if she has been abandoned by people, let her know it is not a reflection of her worth. It may be a protection, a redirection, a preparation for something far greater than what the hearts of this dunya can give. Sometimes Allah removes people from our lives to remind us, they were never your source. I am. Let her stop measuring herself by how loved she feels. Let her start remembering who she is without the noise, a servant of the Most High, a woman honored in the Quran, a soul beloved by her Creator even in her darkest hour. Because even if no one says you matter, even if no one shows up when she needs them, even if she feels entirely alone, she is still carried, still watched, still loved by the one who needs no reminders to care. She must not confuse absence with rejection or silence with insignificance. Because what people don't say, Allah still knows. What they don't value, Allah still treasures. And so her worth remains untouched. When the heart has been bruised by the hands of people, when promises are broken, affection fades, and companionship becomes distance, there is a special kind of grief that settles inside a woman. It's not just the sadness of being unloved, it's the ache of being forgotten, it's the pain of being replaced. It's the sting of being used, then discarded like she was nothing but a role, not a soul. And yet, within that loneliness, within that unbearable silence, if she just pauses, if she just breathes deeply and turns her gaze away from the world and up toward the heavens, she'll find something extraordinary, a love that never left her, a love that never changed, a love that never failed. The love of Allah, a love that existed before anyone else ever said, I love you, a love that remained even when everyone else withdrew theirs. A love so pure that it is not based on how she looks, what she gives, or who she pleases. It is based on who she is to him. You see, when the world becomes too loud with rejection and the heart becomes too heavy with loss, there is only one who listens to every unspoken word. When she stands alone in the kitchen, wiping away tears with the corner of her sleeve, when she lies on her prayer mat, too exhausted to speak but too broken to sleep, when she feels like no one sees her, no one cares, no one understands he is there. He is closer than the pain in her chest. He is nearer than the tear in her eye. He is listening even when she doesn't know how to express what she's feeling, and unlike people, Allah never gets tired of hearing her voice. He never forgets her. He never gets bored of her tears. He never says again, you're crying again. Instead, he says, call upon me, I will respond to you. Quran 40, 60 people walk away when they no longer need her, but Allah draws closer when she is most in need. People love her when she's beautiful, helpful, cheerful. But Allah loves her even when she's tired, messy, weeping, and confused. Because his love is not transactional, it's not seasonal, it's not based on her performance, it's based on mercy. Infinite, unimaginable mercy. He loved her when she made mistakes. He protected her when she didn't even know she was in danger. He forgave her sins she never even knew she committed, and even now, when her heart feels numb, when she doubts if she's worthy of being loved, he is still loving her. Not from a distance, but from within her breath, within her heartbeat, within her silence, the dunya might say she is not enough. The people might look past her as if she is invisible, but her Lord says, indeed, those who believe and do righteous deeds, the most merciful will appoint for them affection. Quran 19:96. So when the warmth of human love disappears, it's not the end. It's often the beginning of discovering something far deeper. Because the love of people may comfort the heart, but the love of Allah heals it. And there's a kind of beauty that grows inside a woman who is loved by her Creator, even when she's unloved by His creation. There comes a time in a woman's life when she finally realizes healing will not come from people, not from the ones who hurt her, not from the ones who left, not even from the ones who stayed but never truly saw her. She has spent nights wondering why she wasn't enough. She has questioned her worth through the silence of unanswered messages, cold conversations, and the weight of constant giving without receiving. And for so long, she searched for healing in all the wrong places, in their apologies, which never came, in their approval, which was never given, in their affection, which faded like a season. But how can broken people fix what they broke? How can hearts that failed to love her teach her how to love herself? She tried to stitch the wounds with validation. She tried to measure her worth by their recognition, their smiles, their attention. And each time they ignored her, she bled deeper, until finally the soul grew tired, tired of begging for love, tired of trying to be understood, tired of depending on people who never had the capacity to carry her pain. And in that moment of spiritual exhaustion, something else begins, something powerful, something sacred. She lets go, not out of bitterness, but out of awakening. She realizes healing was never in their hands, it was always in Allah's. Healing was never in their words, it was in His word, not in their approval, but in His mercy, not in being chosen by them, but in being chosen by Him. You see, validation is a moving target. One day they love you, the next day they forget you. One moment they lift you, the next they leave you. But faith is steady, constant, loyal. It doesn't change based on moods. It doesn't abandon you when you're weak. It holds you even when you fall, because when a woman turns to Allah, she doesn't need to prove anything. She doesn't need to look a certain way, say the right things, or meet any conditions. She comes broken, and He receives her fully. She comes tired, and He gives her rest. She comes empty, and He fills her heart, not with promises that fade, but with peace that stays. When she sits in sujood with her forehead pressed to the ground, it doesn't matter who didn't love her, who didn't understand her, who didn't stay, because in that moment, she is held by the one who has never left her side. And something amazing happens. Her tears become worship. Her wounds become openings for light. Her loneliness becomes a meeting point with the divine, and in that sacred solitude, she begins to heal. Not because they came back, not because they finally valued her, but because she finally turned to the one who had always been waiting. She no longer needs to be seen by people who refuse to see her. She no longer waits for words that never come. She no longer ties her joy to the hands that dropped her, because now she is being carried by faith. Now she knows her value was never in what they said. It was in who she is to Allah, and who she is becoming through Him. And healing, real healing, begins here, when a woman stops chasing people to fix her pain, and starts walking toward the one who created her soul in the first place. Would you like me to continue by closing the full speech with a powerful conclusion, or keep expanding further in this same style?